Back in the studio, finally, I got Kayla and Cece with me today. Kayla, welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
It's good to have you.
Good to be back.
For those of you that don't know Kayla out there, Kayla is our basically like a right hand here at, and left hand a lot of times here at Red Dot. She is air traffic control, the air boss. There's no incoming or outgoing without getting checked off by Kayla. So wanted to have her in today because, you know, I just got back from a trip. I was on another training trip. It was awesome. It was 4 very intensive days. I was doing a bunch of long range shooting with a guy by the name of Joe Dawson. He's out of Oregon. I've had him on the show before in the After Dark versions. And I had to go to this thing, but long range shooting, it's a thing, right? It's a game that I hadn't spent a lot of time in. And a lot of that had to do just like, we just don't have a lot of access to long range areas or whatever. But so I was given this opportunity to go out and train. A lot of math in long range shooting. There's a sort of skills and arts and a sort of some knowledge and even some technology you can use. And with that, then we took, you know, once we spent some time in the classroom, we went out onto the range and actually started sending rounds downrange. And cool learning experience. And then inevitably it starts to ramp up a little bit. You know, you get rifle zeroed, you do your thing. And then every day we got into a physical component. There was definitely some physicality in the training. Here it was cold, we were like altitude and whatever. And so that inevitably leads into a conversation about fitness. And so the guys that were out there it was an interesting group of people. A lot of law enforcement guys, some federal law enforcement guys, local guys, SWAT teams, things like that. And so we got into the fitness conversation. That always comes up. And so I'm always interested and curious to know how people are consuming their fitness programming. So I'm asking a lot of questions. And I'm always intrigued to find out where people get their programming from and why, and the nuance there. And so I learned a lot of things while I was there. Some things that, you know, I guess I'm not learning, I'm just being reminded of, that people need variety. No matter who you are, at some level, it's very easy for the humans to get bored. And I don't mean that like I can't stick on a program so I'm falling off the train. Just like people like and need a little bit of variety in their life for lots of different reasons.
Spice things up.
Yeah, for sure. And these guys generally have a higher level of awareness of their own fitness and obviously the responsibility they have to it. Some of them not so much, quite frankly. And some of them that maybe think they know a little bit more than they do. And so they're asking me like, so what do you do and how do you do this? And so one of the things I recognized in talking to them was we've never talked about our online membership here on the show, which provides the variety piece at a kind of a different level. So I wanted to circle back to this today and, you know, thinking about on my drive home from Reno, how do we really put this out there so people can kind of understand what they're getting, maybe a little bit of a compare and contrast against what other programs look like, how we came up with some of the things we came up with and why we feel confident in what we're putting out there. We think it might fit, and maybe who it's not for, and then how to maybe conceptualize it all to find out whether it might be a right fit for them, or for people out there listening going, oh, this sounds familiar. I've seen this other program that I really like, and that seems to be the better fit for me based on what they're saying, as compared to what I've already chosen to do. I'm at a gym, I maybe joined a group class, or I bought somebody else's programming or whatever. So lots to cover, lots to unpack. So again, I got the ladies in the studio today. And again, Kayla, because you deal with so many people on a daily basis, members inside the club, members outside the club.
Yep.
What's that experience like?
I think in a lot of ways it's really rewarding, especially now since we've implemented this online piece. I'm not only talking to people that are in-house or people that want to come in-house. I'm talking to people that live in different states, and now they're wanting what we have to offer. And so it's really rewarding for me to be able to talk to all these different type of people with different health and fitness lifestyles. So it's just been a much larger experience than I originally anticipated before working here.
A lot of emails,
Yep.
A lot of direct messages, a lot of phone calls. And I think for people that have maybe had one of these programs or gotten involved in these things before, that might sound very different to them. You know, just kind of putting it out there. the gym is the business, right? And we've had this thing for a long time now. And so it's very normal for us to be having these conversations with people on a daily basis. And we've just implemented the digital piece because it was a necessity for us and other people want to consume it. And the platforms, the ability to do that is now very, very viable. There's a lot of cool things. We'll talk about that. But it's not a normal for us to get questions all day long. So we've just now started answering questions more digitally. We don't actually see you physically, but you're out there in space. But it's no different than if you were here. We're just not seeing you physically. But we do get people that video call in, you know, and have consultations and whatever else. So we do get to meet them and see them. But they're still members. We treat them like members, and that kind of comes along with the program. But I think the biggest thing about this particular program, when we sat down to put it together, was one, let's make sure we're giving people a variety of options. Just like if you're coming into the gym, there is no one size fits all ever. So it's tough as a gym owner that's maybe offering things outside of personal training, which obviously is very much the opposite of one size fits all, or should be. Like, this needs to be very specific programming for this very specific person, their needs, their health,
their goals, and
all of that. Yeah.
Yep.
But when you provide like group programming, it gets a little like, okay, so we have all these different fitness abilities. We have all these different exercise histories. We also have different levels of drive, you know, what people are willing to, to actually, in terms of putting in work. So like putting together a group program or a group, like let's just say a class or a group of classes that kind of caters to all those different things can be tough. But you can kind of start to categorize them into things like, well, will you have novice, beginner to intermediate, intermediate to advanced, and then really advanced. Then we have people like you take out of that, you're like, well, okay, now what are your goals? You know, that was kind of the exercise experience or fitness level. What are your goals as they relate to those? Like, what are we trying to do? Is this a physique type of person that's really looking to shred, you know, look better naked? Or is this a person that's like, hey man, I just need to get involved in an exercise program for my health and longevity? And then there's the other piece where somebody may be like, look, I'm looking for a push or an uptick in my performance. You know, I run, I cycle, I ski, I snowboard. I'm involved in some other type of thing.
I like to do distance running and I want to maintain my strength.
Yep. And this could be seasonally or whatever else. But so there's all those things we have to take into consideration. So what we wanted to do as a gym, and I think any gym more or less wants to do this, is when somebody comes in and says, I need a solution to this problem, we have it for them. I think we've come up with we've been pretty successful with that in the gym. So we more or less just kind of took that programming and put it online with our experience on the personal training side of things, understanding nuance. And like, it's one thing for me to give you an exercise online and say, I need you to do this exercise, but you've never done that exercise before, or you don't know what that is. It's a little bit more complex. In gym, we keep our groups very small, right? Like 8 people to a group. So the coach can be hands-on to coach you through that. Not so easy, you know, like if you're on the digital end of things, you're in Indiana, you know, or whatever, and trying to follow the program. So tried to simplify things a little bit and make it a little bit more user-friendly. Also considering, what are people going to have access to? So somebody that's onboarded as a member, they don't get access to our 6,000 square foot facility with all the cool equipment and all the toys and the bells and whistles and everything else. They might not have that. So when you're looking at online programs, that can be limiting for people as they're searching for, oh, I really like this programming, but I don't have access to half the equipment that it's calling for. And I don't necessarily know the alternative exercises, or I literally don't have the equipment to perform the alternative exercises or exercise that's been suggested here. So trying to think through those challenges. And we've learned a lot.
We have.
Yeah, as we've done it. So again, trying to give something that suits a lot of people, but also make it very convenient and user-friendly. Because there's all kinds of apps and platforms and PDFs and whatever out there. And some of it I think has been oversimplified. Like, it's like, I can't believe you paid what you paid for this. Not that there's maybe not some value in the program for that person, but like, you're literally getting a PDF and you paid X amount of dollars for it. I always wonder about how people come to those buying decisions. And to the other side is just like, this is just too overcomplicated, or this platform is not user-friendly. And so we took that into consideration too as we put it together. And I think if you're out there shopping for online programs, whether it's with Red Dot Fitness or somebody else, you want to think about these things, because the last thing I want to be doing in the very little amount of time that I've carved out of my schedule to do my workouts and get my fitness done or whatever else is be effing off with some
trying to figure out
clunky. Yeah, exactly. I've had lots of experience with that. And I don't know, Kayla, what do you hear from people out there, from potential members about their concerns about that, or even maybe your own experiences with using other, like online training platforms that you can get like on your app or your tablet or your laptop? Yeah,
I mean, I think for a lot of people that have, or members that have wanted to come in and do one of our memberships, is the app accessible through my Android?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it only an Apple product? Yep. I would say for the most part, that's been one of the issues. But another thing is, how long do I have access to X program? Or am I going to lose it in 8 weeks? Can I track these different things on this app? Or am I not going to be able to track at all? Something that I've actually talked to one of our current members with is a different app that he was on. He wasn't able to track his reps and sets.
Wow.
Like, they wouldn't save. So what's the point if I can't go back a week from now and see that I didn't complete all 3 of my sets? So what we've created is a way to track all your reps and sets. You can manually enter in your numbers and they save. They're not going to disappear on you. They stay. So besides that, my own personal experience, I've mostly have dealt with apps that are like I'm uploading videos to send to a coach. And then he will return videos back to me. That has its own goods
challenges
and bads. Yeah, like maybe the video quality was shit. Or maybe, I would say that's probably the biggest part is poor video quality. But being able to get all my workouts in, have them written down. And now at least I just would rather use a notebook for these specific apps that I'm working with. So it's like I'm just not even going to use it. But I can track my stuff in our app. I still do. And that's the easiest way for me to do it, at least doing the program I'm on now.
Yeah, tracking is such a hugely important.
You have to do it.
You have to do that if you intend on making longer term progress. And I get that a lot of people are like, no, I just need to start an exercise program. Fuck the tracking thing. Like, I just need to be moving, or don't bother me with any of that. Like, I've never met anybody that's tracked and later on down the road said,
regretted it.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't tracked. Never, ever has that happened. Almost 30 years of doing this.
Do you not want to be better than last week?
Right. Or how do you really know?
Yeah.
Right. So what are you measuring? I think measuring is important. It can also be, a pitfall sometimes. But if you don't understand what you're measuring, why, and more importantly, why you're measuring it. But measuring is important. So, if we can measure it, we can manage it, which helps you communicate with somebody else. If you're using somebody's program or using an app and then maybe working with a coach, or you have questions down the line, like this isn't working for me. Okay, well, let's see what are the things that aren't working for you? Well, I'm not gaining any weight, or I'm not building any muscle, or my strength's going backwards, or whatever. If you haven't tracked, then what you've done is you've walked into a conversation.
Emotions.
Yeah, you've walked into a conversation where you're just making a bunch of guesses. And while they may be sort of informed or educated guesses, they're certainly not going to be specific. So, or they may get you in the ballpark, but that might not be or the parking lot of the ballpark, but that might not be good enough to get you inside the ballpark to actually play the game or see the game. So tracking's a big one. It's not just about your reps and sets. In this app, you can also track things like milestones. You can set specific, milestones that you might have for yourself. And, we make some suggestions in the app on things that you can do there. You can also track your nutrition, and you can link it up to your devices.
Yes, you can.
So if you're wearing an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, or you're using like a MyFitnessPal or some of these other apps, you can directly do that. So you can have everything's right there. You can actually track your nutrition right there, and everything's communicating. So you're not going to 5 different places to maintain your program. So we thought about that too, kind of when we were putting together, and chose and built a platform around something that would make it easy, convenient, and hopefully provide the best recipe for success for those that find that stuff important. Again, you don't have to use any of that, right? If all you want is the template, the template's in there, the templates. So we thought about that. Let's move around. Let's keep going and talk about the variety. So we actually have 6 different programs. And when you sign up for a membership within there now, and we have intention on potentially adding, 1 or 2 more over time. But again, thinking about it and like looking at what we've done in the gym, we feel like we've got probably a pretty good overall, let's just say, suite of programs within the app to satisfy most people's needs. Again, if you have a very, very specific goal, right, and you have very specific milestones that you need to reach, then you should probably be thinking more about personal, like virtual training, or personal training if you're going to a gym. Virtual meaning you're just meeting with your coach online or whatever, but maybe a little bit more like kind of what you were talking about, Kayla, where I have a template, I send them videos, they send back. That might be more of that kind of a process, or looking at more of a very specific plan, templated plan that's periodized over a 3 to 4 month period, much like our self-guided program, Strong or Max or Feel You. So going back, like if that's what you're looking for, then you may want to go over there. But the variety piece, again, fits a lot of people's needs. So we have these 6 programs. You have access to all of them once you're a member. So you're not limited. You don't have to choose. It gives you the ability to choose your own adventure, actually. You could dabble a little bit to find out what the right program is for you. But within those programs, we do a couple things with them. We update them constantly. And members will see them updated in their app on a weekly basis. So every week you'll get the next week sitting in front of you so you can pre-plan, know what you're doing, get your head wrapped around it mindset-wise and whatever else. They're progressive. We do phase them. You can jump in at any time. So if we happen to be in, let's say, phase 2 of a 4-phase program, you can jump in any time, or you can go all the way back to the beginning and start from there. So if you're waiting for like, what's the perfect time to jump in, you can jump in anytime, right? You're not limited. We don't have it. There's no limitation or barrier or restriction to get into a program and receive the benefit from it. You could jump in 2 weeks late, 3 weeks after a phase has started, whatever, 6 weeks, go all the way back to the beginning, or you could scale it or modify it to where you currently are now until the next maybe phase begins, or maybe do a different program to condition yourself and get yourself ready for that next phase. Until it's ready, or till the next phase kind of drops. So again, we're always thinking about doing that programming and progression, so you don't have to worry about it. Like we've already sort of thought through all that. You get visibility to all the completed workouts that you've done, which is not something that a lot of apps provide you. You don't get any history. Here you have history. You can go back, you can see all the stuff that we've already put out there and all the stuff that you've already done. So going back to the tracking, you can actually graph this stuff and see what lifts, what exercises, how your percentages, where your weights have moved, to assess what should I be doing next in order to continue to get my results. So that's in there. So that's more like the tracking and monitoring your progress. Every exercise has a demonstration video, and it's not a 5-minute.
Probably what? It's less than a minute. I mean, people don't even have the stamina for that, I think.
Some cases it's 10 to 12 seconds. It's way less than a minute. The average one we had in there was about 10 seconds long. It basically, here's the exercise, you get a description of what it is, here's how you set it up. Here's some tips on foot position, or
if you want to read
stance,
that level of detail.
Or just click the video and it'll show you 10 seconds from multiple angles of the exercise you're supposed to do, because sometimes you just need just a quick reminder. You don't want to be sitting there listening to somebody talk for 5 minutes to see what the exercise is in, or doing this, the scrolling through, trying to figure it out. We've learned that over time. People want, just tell me what to freaking do, right? Or show me, right? There's level of detail there, or there's just a watch the quick video. So, and it's really easy to follow along. Couple other little things here. First off, it is a very private app. So that being, what I'm saying is everybody doesn't have access to everybody else's stuff. Like, it's very specific between you and us. So we can see your stuff and you can see what we're providing them. It's like, and the other thing that's provided there is a 1 or a 2-way message system. you don't have to get on to some other online platform. I won't say the company formerly known as that company, where there's a big group where you post your message, somebody responds to it, everybody sees it, everybody can respond to it and ask questions around it, and basically just cloud or muddy the waters with, I was looking for a very specific answer here, and now all the internet people have jumped in here, all the experts that I didn't want in here are now in the chat, and I can't make sense of any of this.
I did that, right?
Yeah. Right. Like if you post a video or a check-in video or you want to send us something, like not everybody's
going directly to us.
It's coming directly to us. Yeah. And we'll hit you right back. And so if you're one of those people, it's like, look, I just signed on for the cool workouts. I don't need to get involved in any of this other crap, and I don't want to feel like I need to be involved in it. You don't have to be. So that's part of it. And then the last part of it is, and you mentioned it, Kayla, and I mean, you're a huge part of this, you and Kurt, and that is, hey, listen, if you've got a question or you need some support in some way, there's a direct message system in there. You can just simply send us direct message. It comes right into us, and the team can very quickly respond to it, literally within hours. So minutes to hours, depending on what time of day, I guess I should say. So, I mean, sometimes it's immediate depending on where you are in the country. Yep. Yeah, if you're working out 2 a.m. and in California and you DM us, you're going to be waiting until about 6:30 a.m. the next day for an answer. But we'll get right back to you is the thing. So I think a lot of people find value in that, and at least that's what they're telling us. What are a lot of the questions that they're sending us?
So I've seen mostly like, I don't have this piece of equipment. What's my scaled option? Or is there something else I can do? Or it's, I would say most of the time it's, I don't have this piece of equipment, or I have this injury, this doesn't feel right. What else can I do? I remember I had one of our members message saying, hey, I don't have this band or whatever. So I'm like, okay. I actually pulled Jeff in. I said, Jeff, can I take some videos of you? I need some scaled options for one of our online members. And he was like, oh, sure. So we sent him 3 different videos of what he could do instead of this one option. So there's multiple ways that we can give you another option, whether it's we straight up tell you another answer, or we are maybe giving you videos, or we're sending you to something else. So there's different ways that you can get different forms of the workout. But besides that, I think what can I change is the question. Or sometimes they want to do a different program.
Yeah, that's
perfectly fine. Let's switch you over because maybe your goal has changed, or you've already done this for 4 weeks and you're ready for something else.
Yeah, there are limitations with apps, right? And any time you're using it, like I've never found one that I was absolutely totally in love with. I'm just biased. Like it's like the operating systems that we use to run the club. They all suck. We've just chosen the one that works the best for us, right? In this case, it's better than that because we really, there are some limitations, but like if you're looking to reorganize your program in a way, we can tell you or show you the best way to do that. And we have some functionality on our end to help put the right things in the right places for you to make it as easy and as user-friendly as possible for you as well. And we get that question quite frequently. And a lot of it has to do with switching over to different programs. Yep. So let's talk about the programs and what we have in there. So when you look, I already mentioned that we have 6 programs. We're trying to fit a lot of different needs here. And we're also, and those needs are going to revolve around, obviously, the base level. Where are you on that triangle of awareness? We talked about aesthetics and performance and longevity, but also like, what are your time constraints? What's your exercise age, and kind of where are you coming into this process, and what might fit you best? Obviously, goals. Going back to the goals piece and the needs piece are important. What do you have access to? Like, do you have a full gym? Let's just put it this way. Do you have access to like more of like a commercial style or even like a CrossFit box type of gym where there's all kinds of stuff available to you? Both of those provide advantages and limitations, whenever you're onboarding a outside program, right? The other thing would be, or do you have like a well-equipped home gym? We've seen people send us pictures all the time of some shit like, shit, that looks better than our gym, like some really crazy setups and amazing setups. So you have that. Or maybe you just have very limited equipment in your garage or in your home gym, wherever that is. You're isolated, or, we have a lot of, we have guys from the military that have been in places where they have very little access to equipment, or even law enforcement officers that are like, look, some days of the week I have access to this other stuff, and other days of the week I'm at home, right? Because I work shift work. A lot of firefighters that way too, because they have access to their commercial gym or their home gym when they're at home, but when they go to the station, different firehouses have different things. So they're trying to kind of figure that out. Like, we have a TRX, we have a barbell, and we have a set of dumbbells with a bench. That's what we got. So we can modify but you can modify and figure it out for them. But you can also figure out, kind of where you fit in on here simply by going to the website. But one of the first kind of base level total body conditioning program that we have is called that. We just call it TBC, total body conditioning. It's really like a foundational muscle strength, muscle building and strength program. It's probably where most people should be getting started if they haven't done anything for a while or have little to no experience with, in the gym with weights and things like that. The thing about it is it's programmed like 3 days a week. And you can add additional days if you wanted to, but it really gives, again, that entry point. So you're getting plenty of work, but you're also getting plenty of recovery. It's not too overwhelming. The workouts are about like 60 minutes. And again, those alternate days could be like your cardio or Metcon days. So if you're already going to like a cycling studio, or you like to ride your bike or run or swim or whatever else, you can totally add those in. This is very complementary to that programming. And as far as the equipment that's required for that, it's basic, like a basic home gym would be fine. I mean, you're going to need like some dumbbells, maybe some kettlebells, a bench. If you have a suspension trainer, that's great. You could also suspension trainer, like the TRX brand is one of those things most people kind of know about that one. Rings would be an equivalent to that if you had rings. Cables or tubing is important, and like some med balls, or go back to the cables, tubing, like some bands. So this is...
Yeah, you don't need anything like a squat rack or a barbell for this type of program. Implements are small.
That's a really good
Smaller
point.
Implements.
No large equipment is really needed. We've figured out a way to do this so that you can do it in a very small footprint and not have to make a huge investment. And if you already invested in some stuff, it's likely you can use that investment to do this program. That's the total body conditioning program, and we find that to be really popular for somebody. Again, I need to build a little muscle, want to build a little muscle, lose a little fat, or at least put myself in a position to ramp my program up.
It's a very good foundational program. That's probably also, if you're going to compare what we have online versus what we have in studio, the TBC program online would be very similar to what we have in studio for, again, a very basic foundational, but has variety, strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, it's also a good place to come back to if you've been involved in a very intense program for a very long time. Kayla's over there shaking her head. She's got some experience with this. Yeah, she can talk about it. But like, if you've been involved in another program where the density or volume's been very high, this is a great program to come back and revisit.
Almost treat it like
reinvigorate
a deload for someone like.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? I mean, because you're coming from a little bit of a different perspective, from the weightlifting background. You want to talk about your experience with that program?
Where to
it's
begin?
A love hate.
Yeah, I mean, love hate for sure. It was for those of you that don't know, I'm a competitive Olympic weightlifter. I compete nationally. I no longer compete, but I was on such a high intensity. I mean, the volume was to the max.
Your recent program, not always.
Yeah, the most recent program. I competed collegiately in weightlifting, and then I switched over to a new program. And I was always told you thrive in volume. And then I get on this program, it's like, clearly I do not. I remember Cece and I had a very long discussion about, I just don't think this is the right program for me anymore. And why? Here are the reasons, X, Y, Z. So now I'm taking a step back from Olympic weightlifting, and I'm actually doing RDF Strong. Generally, I think, and a lot of us probably here think, I should have went to max. That is probably the right pathway that someone with my background and experience should go on.
They think they should go there, yeah.
Right. But for me, I need to take a step back. I need to rebuild and kind of go back to like an adaptation phase, which is what I'm in now, and just rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and the other thing is too, with your Olympic weightlifting, you're doing your big lifts and you weren't really doing the horizontal pushing and the horizontal pulling.
I moved up and down.
It wasn't any rotation, lateral work. Yeah, no,
so going back to those
isolateral,
foundational,
unilateral stuff, yeah.
Yeah, movement patterns.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a really good example. You mentioned you're using Strong, which is a very, very specific periodized program for that very thing. But so if people are trying to compare and contrast, it's a good time to drop this. So total body conditioning in the membership is very similar in programming to what our RDF Strong program is. The RDF Strong program is a 4-day-a-week to 5-day-a-week program, where the TBC is more of a 3 to 5 day. You again choose your own adventure. There's a little bit more intensity and volume and equipment variety in terms of complexity in that Strong program. So again, if that's what you're looking for, you just made a really good case for why RDF Strong might be a good program for somebody. If like, no, I'm coming off of this and I need 4 months of, very specific programming where I'm tracking, I'm using similar implements to what I was using before. You are going to be around the barbell, around the dumbbells, around the kettlebells. It's a little bit more advanced versus the TBC. And again, a little bit more complexity in terms of equipment and stuff that we're asking people to do in there. So yeah, just stepping back. So again, TBC, great program for a lot of people. Don't think, just because you've been in the game for a while, this is not going to be worthless to you. Exact opposite.
I am dying on RDF Strong right now.
Yeah, so she's been really challenged. We've had some laughs about how sore and how challenged.
After 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week.
How challenged she was in some areas. So that's the TDBC, total body conditioning program. The other one that we have in there is our Fit for Action program. And
this is my favorite.
Yeah, why?
I like the barbell, but the other thing is the intensity of this program. It is definitely a step up above TBC. And this is for the lifter who is more intermediate or advanced. And the other thing with this program is there's a metabolic conditioning component to it. So it is a 4 to 5 day a week program. And there, again, choose your own adventure. If you want to add additional workouts in here, you can. But, chances are you probably aren't going to, if you're doing this program the way you should be doing it as far as what you're bringing to the table with your intensity.
Yeah, I mean, the specifics here is this is like, if you're working on or continually working towards building max strength and power, that's really where the Fit for Action is. Mm-hmm. And so, as far as the Metcon component and the other variables and let's just say domains of fitness that we're bringing into the program, this would feel, if you've CrossFitted before, this is going to feel like a much more periodized form of, or that may feel a little bit like that, minus the Olympic lifting. We do not program Olympic lifts in any of our digital programming. So we're not doing any cleans or snatches.
Which is so refreshing.
Why?
For myself.
Yeah, why do you say that?
I mean, for me specifically, that's all I do. I squat, I snatch, I clean and jerk. Maybe I just do cleans or maybe I just do jerks, and then I have my little bit of accessories afterwards. So right now it's kind of amazing to be in a program where I'm not spending an hour and a half or 2 hours just snatching.
Getting under the bar, yeah.
And so it's like, I don't have to be as explosive. I don't feel like I'm wasting as much energy. And I just feel almost 10 times better. I'm not tired after my workouts. Right. Usually I go home and I lay on the couch after a 2-hour workout. Now I work out and I'm walking away like,
you feel energized?
I feel great.
Yeah. Your workout's what, 60 minutes now though? Yeah. 45 to 60 minutes.
And it feels way better than sitting in the gym for 2 hours.
Yeah, so managing that intensity and volume, you're making a really good case of why that's so important. And that's what we're doing in this programming. But to your point, CC, when you're moving into fit for action, that is definitely being elevated.
You're getting after it for sure.
You're definitely getting after it. And your 4 workout days, that are very specifically programmed, you're going like a push-pull type of combo 4 days a week. You can choose which days off, but it could be, my experience with this is it's usually pretty comfortable for people to do like a Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday off, or maybe you're making that like a long, slower distance, list type cardio day or something like that. Or that's when you go out and do your hike. Or if you're into like rock climbing or, whatever it is that you're doing, that's the day you do that. And then you get into Thursday, Friday, and then you're quote unquote off for the weekend where you're working on your mobility or again, some other activity as a weekend warrior. This would be a really great program for that person that we call it Fit for Action, specific to, hey, if you're one of those people that just likes to get out and get after it on the slopes, right? On the court, on the mat, your jiu-jitsu, martial arts type of thing, you're a motocross rider, mountain biker, even road cyclist, whatever else. Like if you like to just get out and get after it and you need power and strength in the application of what it is that you're doing, it's a great program for that. Because way we've programmed is you can do it long term. This is not something that we're going to ramp it up so far you're going to be trashed at the end. You're going to reach like maximal strength and power, but then you have to deload. We're going to manage this for you for the long term, and that's the uniqueness of this. So try to manage the overtraining.
Absolutely.
As far as like the other specifics, this is more like you're going to be at it for at least an hour, probably more like 75 minutes you should plan on. It could go as long as 90 if you need those increased rest times or whatever's going on. Again, we talked about the included Metcon and cardio days, which we encourage, but we also are very specific about what we encourage. Like, remember, you're getting after it in these workouts. There's a Metcon component there. So, the conditioning that you choose to do outside of these workouts should be specific. We provide that. We're going to talk about that. It's included in another program that you'll have access to. And then lastly, you mentioned very specifically, you like the barbell. You're going to see the barbell, the plates, the bench, the squat rack, the power rack in this program. And if you don't have access to that, it's going to be a limiting factor. So that's just one of those things. But again, so if you have access to a pretty well-equipped home gym or more of a commercial style gym or, box type of gym, this is going to be a really great program for you. We leave anything out on Fit for Action?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the next one is we move into, it's called Burn. And Burn is that one that like you love to hate. So when we look at like Metcon and cardiovascular conditioning, this really is, this is not, I would call this can be a standalone program, but I don't encourage people to use this as a standalone program. This could be something that, let's say you're on some other program, one that we haven't mentioned, you're outside of Red Dot Fitness and doing something else, but you are looking to really ramp up your muscular and cardiovascular endurance. This is the program. And it isn't just through one modality, like running, swimming, or cycling or whatever else. That we're providing a variety of things that keep you going back to the Fit for Action, kind of fit for action in any number of things. They're going to challenge you in a lot of different ways. But again, basically this is for increased metabolic, endurance for, muscularly and cardiovascular endurance. We provided as many as 4 to 5 days a week of this type of programming.
Not that you're supposed to do it every day.
Not that you're supposed to do it every day, but we've given you that many because let's say you were in sort of TTBC, or sorry, the the total body conditioning program, and you're looking to really focus on the endurance piece, but you know you need to get the strength piece in. This might be a good one to combo with that, and you could put that in. If again, going back to total body conditioning, it's 3 days a week. You could do 3 to 4 days a week if you're really trying to get after it. Again, you want to manage your recovery time, but this is that's how we've programmed this. So there's plenty of options in there. 45 to 60 minute workouts, definitely sub 1 hour, because the intensity in these is generally a little higher than
And you're going to have your rest time programmed in here too. So
yeah, so and that's one of the key components of this to get the most out of this programming is to really pay close attention to how we program rest periods as well as work periods. We've spent a lot of time at a painstaking level to make sure we've tried to program that in a way that you will get the max benefit out of the intensity scales that we're using. Like there's some Tabata concepts that are in there, if you know that. It's a lot of interval training, and we use different implements, which I think is the real difference in this program. Like the different modalities that we use, and a lot of people have access to these modalities. So when we're looking at like the equipment that you use, you're looking at lighter weights. We're moving lightweight fast. We're also using some balls. Some cardio equipment is not required, but it's highly recommended. So if you have access to ski ergs, stationary bikes, or bike ergs, and rowers, climb mills, treadmills, we've put those. We've organized this stuff so you can utilize that in various different ways. And if you have access to all of that at one time, then this program is awesome because you might be spending, let's say, a total of 8 minutes on a treadmill during some interval training, then step off and do some light, do some light body weight movement, lighter weighted body weight movements for, in intervals, and then you're moving to the ski erg and doing another several minutes of, interval training on the ski erg, and then stepping back and doing. There's just
the variety.
There's a ton of variety here, yeah. And so
keep you moving.
Bottom line is like if you like going deep into the HIIT training pain cave, this is the program. Yeah, yeah. It's this one is the one that where you really get after it. This is hands on hips, mouth open breathing, for a very short period of time before you have to go get right back into it. It's one of the ones you kind of love to hate. There's a love-hate relationship with it. Next is the Physique Program. Kayla, what do you want to say about Physique Program?
I think right now it's so far everyone's favorite program. I do believe everyone that is on our online membership is currently in Physique.
Is that
really?
Right?
Wow.
Yes. So, and I mean, we've had people say like, hey, I just did this. I think I'm ready for something else, or I want to increase or focus on more strength exercises. So it's like, okay, let's move you over to Physique. And we moved her over, and she is killing it right now. Yeah. All I see is new max, or this is like her new record or whatever. So right now she's killing it. So shout out to her.
Yeah, Physique is a great program. So I think a lot of people, if we stepped it all the way back to the beginning, like what are our goals? I don't know a lot of people that are training that are not trying to change something about their physique somewhere, right? I mean, I think it's deeply ingrained in the human DNA where we're always trying to improve or change something. We're never happy all the time. There's character flaws there that can make that an issue or not an issue. But Physique is one of those ones that's really designed. It's like a bodybuilding program. It is your traditional body part split.
I was just going to say, yeah.
It's purely centered around hypertrophy and changing your physique. I hate this word, but it gets used a lot, and that is like the sculpting type of thing. Like I'm looking to build bigger shoulders, or I'm looking to, build bigger quads so that, I aesthetically I look different, or my proportions look different. This is that program. Not that those things aren't going to be a byproduct of the other programs, but this is very, very specifically focused to this. It's 5 to 6 days a week, based on the phase that we happen to be in. So we're looking at adaptation phases, we're looking at muscle building phases, we're looking at strength phases, and more max strength and hypertrophy phases. And then we're going to have to cycle back through there. So what you're going to see in there is a lot of the same movement patterns for longer periods of time, over weeks, because that is the goal. We're a constant progression and overload with very, very specific attention being paid to how you're doing those movements. Little to no Metcon, right? It might feel like that at first when you first get started if you haven't been working out for a while, but that's not included here. That's not part of this phase. The goal here, again, is muscle hypertrophy, which will come along with some amount of strength, and that's how these things are being phased. A little bit longer time periods to get through there. Lots of volume first, and then we move back into a little bit more intensity. but 60 to 90 minutes. So you're looking at a little bit longer time period spent. You know, again, typical body part split type of things, push, pull, hinge, you know, type of things. You're going to hit everything basically 2 times in 1 week. We've broken this out into like what would be considered like a 9-day training cycle. So inside a week, you actually hit everything twice. And that's how we've comboed the exercise combinations in the days. You can choose your days on and days off. That's up to you. But with 5 to 6 days a week of programming, that doesn't leave you a lot of room to have, you know, to schedule in multiple days. I will say this with it, like with any program, if you fall off the program or you're going on vacation, you're taking a break, no big deal. Do that. You just jump back in where you left off. But again, more of your traditional, almost like bodybuilder physique, you know, definitely more of the bodybuilder physique type of program. And you should expect with that, if you're familiar with that at all, the types of equipment, you're using dumbbells, barbells, cables, bands, the traditional stuff you're going to need to load up, you know, in certain instances. And quite frankly, and so you're going to need the type of equipment to be able to do that, benches, for, you know, at bare minimum, a power rack and a bench at bare minimum. But really what we tell people is like, if you have, the best thing is if you have access to more of a commercial gym. You're taking this workout with you on your phone or your tablet or whatever to the gym, where you have access to things like maybe a chest press machine and a leg press or hip sled or things like that, the more of the traditional type stuff. But it's very popular. People are into it. A little bit of that is like, I think they see the name and they're like, that's what I want, forgetting that that can be a byproduct. The other thing is I think it's just very familiar for a lot of people that are confident, you know, in, look, I know how to work out. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And so they see this like, oh, this looks really familiar to me. I can definitely do this. And it's just that much better when they start getting the results. So physique. Next one is, I think one of the probably gets overlooked the most, and that's gonna be the mobility program. We spend a lot of time on mobility here in the physical location. There's a lot of personalized and very, very specific things that we do for people based on the things that they come to us with. And here's the deal: everybody's got something, right? The degree to which you're suffering from immobility, lack of flexibility, some pain, joint restrictions, whether it's from injuries, overuse, or just poor awareness, the mobility piece is so important. So we've built in some very, very specific programs that everybody can benefit on. And this is one of those programs that goes side by side with all the other programs. So like we said with the TBC program at the beginning, look, it can be 3 days a week. It could be as much as 5 to 6 days a week if you wanted to include the other type of programming that were provided. So you could be on TBC and burn and mobility. And you can be following along there. And they're all going to complement one another. You're not going to risk overtraining if you're using those things. So they're all there's like a symbiosis that works across the programs. Like we have people here that come in for our Fit for Action program here, which is titled a little something different, but then they also come to burn, right, once a week, and then they go to like a mobility session or resilience conditioning sessions on Saturday to work on their mobility, and then maybe even yoga as well on Wednesday night. They're trying to find this balance. We program that all into the membership for you. So you have these different things you can choose from to fit your personal needs, goals, and whatever journey you want to take.
You know, I think this program gets overlooked the most because,
agreed.
You know, people look at it and think, oh, mobility, you know, a new kind of stretching. But give it a chance because you actually really do work here. It's you have to think about what you're doing and really get in touch with how your body's moving to get into some of the positions. And there's also workarounds as well because not everybody has the same mobility. But, you know, this one I think just gets overlooked because people don't want to spend the time here. And this is probably where the majority of people really need to spend at least once a week here for a little bit of time. And it doesn't have to be a whole hour. We have right here, it's 20 to 60 minutes. And maybe some days it's 10 or 15. But Yeah, I really like this program.
It's the first thing that generally goes, like when somebody's feeling pressed for time or whatever, right? Like they're just, I'm cutting out the stretching, the quote unquote stretching. I'm cutting out the mobility. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Like, no, I just need to get this done and get out of here, right? Like, but it's just ask me, I'll tell you. It's the thing that I need to spend the most time on. And if I don't, I pay a price. I pay a big price, pre and post workout. Like it's more for me, it's the pre-workout stuff I have to do.
I was just going to say, so, I mean, if people give this program a chance, they'll learn that they can implement some of these movement patterns at the beginning of a workout, or they can do it post-workout, or they can do it as a workout in and of itself. So there's so many ways that this can be applied. Yeah.
And so what would you see when you get in there? What you'll see is we've broken it out into basically like lower extremity hips, right? And then you get into low back, low spine up through T-spine. And then you get into shoulders and upper extremities. So there's kind of 3 different components. As you go through there, it's not something you can choose and pick and choose like, hey, if this is where my issue is and I don't have a ton of time to spend here, but if I'm feeling like I'm having some hip or low back stuff, you can take a little bit from each. We've organized it in a way that that makes sense. I think one of the nuances here is the videos. So the videos that are provided in this are much different than the videos provided, say, in our other exercise program. When we mentioned they're quick, like here's what it looks like, here's some different angles to check it out from. When you get into the mobility program, you're being walked through the entire process of this particular movement pattern. Now, for those of you that listen to the show, everybody knows Jeff. Jeff is the guy behind this program. So
talk about practicing what he preaches.
Yeah, you're gonna see and hear Jeff actually walk you through the entire sequence. So because it is complex, there's complexity here, and I think what we realized real quick is this is not something that can be quick and dirty. This really has to be spent here, and Jeff does an amazing job at walking you through while telling you why and how to look out for the little things to maximize the time you're actually spending doing it. This is an ongoing thing. This never stops, right? You should always be implementing this in your program. So whether it's one day a week as the workout or the recovery day, right? Whether it's every day before, every day after, some days, as long as it's making it in there, you're doing good. Yet, to your point, probably the most overlooked thing in most people's programs in general. Also, probably next to the exercise itself or how they're actually doing it, the most misapplied thing in most people's programs. Like they think they're doing something, quote unquote, stretching, foam rolling, myofascial release, that kind of stuff. They think they're getting a result or benefit that they're not getting. And they could be doing so much more by implementing other things. And we've tried to bring that to the table. It's one of the most popular classes we have here at the gym too. Like on Saturdays, we offer this stuff for free actually. So anybody, if you're in the local area, you want to check it out and get a taste, you can come in Saturdays, 10 a.m., walk into a session. It doesn't matter what your fitness ability is, high or low, health status. Obviously, if you got joint issues and things like that, that could be an issue. But it's a quote unquote workout of your brain, your nervous system, without going crazy. It's interesting. People get up from the like, dude, that was really challenging, but I feel great. Like I'm exhausted in a weird kind of way, but I feel
invigorated.
Yeah, invigorated at the same time. But it's also very telling. Like it'll expose you to some things. All right, moving on. Last program in there is the Bodyweight Program, and this was really kind of like a spawned during the whole COVID lockdown thing. And this isn't something that I was ever really a huge fan of. It was almost like this is a temporary thing, right? People are stuck in their homes. They don't have equipment. They need to do something.
Everyone's just doing push-up challenges.
Yeah, or squat challenges or, sit-up challenges and things like that. So we put together a bodyweight program way back then. We've since refined it a little bit. We actually have a workout from home guide program that's available on our website. This comes from that. This is bits and pieces of that, and it's just sort of offered it like an intermediate level. Because again, when you're looking at fulfilling everybody's needs, we kind of worked right into the middle. It can be easily scaled up or down depending on what your fitness level is. But why is this a good one? I think this is a good one for people again that are maybe always constantly pushing or the person that really beats themselves up, that has a really busy schedule, and they really beat themselves up like mentally and emotionally if they miss a workout, or travels a lot. This is a great one because it can be done anywhere. It can be done in a hotel room. You literally don't need any equipment. However, equipment could be added in if you wanted to add load, external load. And we're going to keep your heart rate up, and we're going to move you through a sequence of movement patterns using your own body,
planes and ranges,
right? Yeah,
motion.
Your heart rate's going to get up. You're going to be your endurance is going to be challenged. Your strength is going to be challenged. And you can scale it to whatever your level is. And as you start to feel it gets a little bit easier for you over time, it's really easy to make it a little bit harder. So again, it's one of those things like, okay, well, I'm going on vacation. I was on Physique. I have zero access, or I'm not going to do that workout. Like, I'm literally taking it off, right? So, but I want to do something. I've committed on my 7-day trip. I'm going to work out 2 times. And I want to do it on the beach outside the hotel. And I don't have any equipment to do that in, but I want to enjoy the environment that I've paid and spent time planning to get here. Great. You take it right out onto the sand, right, or the pool deck or whatever else. You can get it done. These are shorter, 45 to 60-minute workouts. Usually they probably last right around 45 minutes. When you're done, again, you feel invigorated. You got your work done for the day, and it'll challenge you differently than the other stuff that you're doing. So that's what that is. Again, no equipment needed at all. Take it on the road. Take it on vacation. You could do it in the gym. You do it in your hotel room, in your garage when you're pressed for time. There's no reason to miss a workout with the body weight workouts that we have.
No, you just said that if you're punishing yourself with maybe some of the other workouts throughout the week, this would be a good way to add in another workout. And the thing is with this too, we said that you're going to work through all various ranges and planes of motion, and it's not just pushing. We're actually getting some quote unquote pulling and some extension in here as well. So I think this is a really great one if you're looking to get a workout in. You don't want to go run, you don't want to go hike, but you still want to push, pull, rotate. This is a great one to augment your week.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you see in a lot of these bodyweight things, it's push-ups, sit-ups, lunges, and that's it. Like that's really what you're getting. So we've added in the lateral components and the rotational components in here, giving you some stuff. We're giving some variety of some of the basic stuff. Obviously, there's limitations to it, but you're putting those on yourself. We've tried to kind of expand and open it up a little bit, and again, scale it in a way where most people can do it. And again, maybe you're only doing 1 set of the 4 that it calls for, right? We kind of give you zones to work in. If you're a beginner, you could work like 1 to 2 sets. 3 to 4 sets for the intermediate to more advanced user. And then, again, if you wanted to add load from the outside, when you're doing your lunges or your squats or your, whatever it happens to be, your push-ups, if you have a plate you want to load on your back, you want to wear a weight vest while you're doing any of that stuff, knock yourself out. You can do any of those things. So, those are all the programs. Again, hopefully we haven't bored people with all the stuff that's there. With all the detail that we went through there. But again, I thought it was important that we come in and we kind of talk about it, because we hadn't let people know like what that is. And they see it online and they're like, well, this looks the same as everybody else. Because look, most gyms now are going to have some type of an online program you can buy. The internet is riddled with them, right? It's a very saturated market. We get that. We get that. So, are we trying to reinvent the wheel? Absolutely not. We're just trying to provide a better or a higher level product for people that want a higher level product or need that. They need that variety. They need that connectivity to coaches, that can be available for them to help them with modifications. And I think the last thing I just want to say about this before we maybe start to wrap it up is, just because you're an online, customer doesn't mean, you're something different to us. You're a member for us. So you get the same, basically the same attention that anybody walking through the door would get on a daily basis. It's just done on these different mediums. So, you're getting into your program, you're working out, you have questions about it. We've already covered that. Just ask. Hey, you want to make a change? Just ask. We can help you with that. You want to talk about your nutrition or your supplementation, what you're doing, just ask. You're a member. That's included in the membership. That's that's what I really want people to know. The other part is we've really tried to make this barrier of entry as frictionless and as easy and as affordable as possible, based on what we're providing. And we always want to give people the ability to try it before they buy it. So we have that ability. I'll talk about that in a second. But the question always comes up, like, so what are the programs? What is it that's available there? Well, there's a couple things. You can listen to this podcast, and we just told you all the different stuff. But if you're looking for like a taste of what that might look and feel like, our Instagram, it's all over our Instagram, and you'll start to see it more. Sample workouts, you'll see some of our coaches and some of our people actually doing bits and pieces from these things, so you can kind of compare and contrast, like, what would that look like? We've got some demo videos out there. There's a lot of information on our social media about some of the detail and the nuance there. And you can go to our website. You can go to rdftrainonline.com. Just go to Train Online when you get there. When you get to trainonline.com, you'll see basically 3 choices. You can do virtual coaching, self-guided, or our membership options. And all the information we just talked about is right there. If you have other questions, then just ask. You can reach out to us when you get there. There's our contact page or our phone. And when you call, it's likely Kayla's going to pick up. So you're going to, and if we're not here or you leave a message, it's highly likely Kayla's going to be the one reaching out to you. So you have a voice, and if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever, now you have a face to who you're going to be speaking to on the other end. So on top of that, if you're interested or curious about it and you want to give it a try or kind of want to see some sample workouts, we do have a 1-week free trial. It's super easy. Again, rdftrainonline.com. Go to online memberships. Right away, you'll see get 7 days free. It's really quick. You just give us a little bit of information. That is your name, your email, and your name and email. And it gets you immediately connected to the app, walks you through connecting, downloading the app from the app store of whatever device that you're using. And the program's immediately there. You're good to go on all the messaging stuff, all the direct connectivity, all that's right there. So you're going to see at least 1 to 2 samples of all of the things that we just put in there or that we just talked about as far as programming in that trial. And that'll give you some, idea of what it is. But if you have further questions, you can ask us. And then, you can go month to month if you sign up on a membership, or you can pay in full for a year. It's really simple, just like everybody else. But when you get there, you can look at it and have a look. Do we leave anything else or leave anything out?
I don't think so.
Anything else? No. Kayla?
Yeah.
Anything else I need to know?
No.
All right. RDFtrainonline.com. Go to online memberships. Get a 1-week free trial.